And I know that everyone can read all 222 pages of the SGA code, but I didn't do that my first year. I don't expect many of y'all to do that your first year. And so being able to pay someone to give you a brief but accurate description would be very useful. Also, the code is somewhat out of date in some areas. They have taken sections out of the bylaws of Student Senate and they haven't lined up with some of the other sections as far as referencing sections that have been taken out. And so just being able to update that and make it the best code that it can be is another goal of mine as rules and regulations. Okay, next slide, please. Collaborate effectively, I'm sorry. So as far as being able to work with others, I am, for those of you that have been in Senate before, you know that I'm a big supporter of the committees and of a good working relationship of all branches and committees inside student government. I think that, obviously many people have touched on this, but in the past it hasn't been done well. But I do think that I have tried to make myself as accessible as possible to do that. Anytime a bill comes through that has to do with the committees, I've personally emailed all 15 chairs of the committees asking them, hey, what do you think about this? How would this affect you? I've never been in alternative spring break. I don't know how certain bills would affect them in certain ways. And so I've reached out to those people to see if these rules that Student Senate wants to make would actually be effective for them, would be efficient for them. And I think that it's very important to have the knowledge behind it before you can assume that you know something about the executive branch, which we've never been a part of, or a committee you've never been a part of. And with that, I want to also work hand in hand with the election commissioner. I probably read the election regulations 7 times or more, and there are some gaps there. Allison Crinton did such a great job as election commissioner this last year, but even her and I had some questions during the question and answer when the election regulations were getting passed. And I think that there are some holes there that, in theory, the rules look good, but when you're actually trying to go to the practicality of them, there are some gray areas that would be really good to define. So I'd love to work with Zeb on that next year to better those as well. And then, of course, to work with administrators to ensure that the university rules and regulations are up to par, and any students that have any interest in that can approach me to go through that. Next slide, please. And lastly, anyone that has been in here knows that whenever I have something that I'm passionate about, pretty much anybody in the room knows. And this is something that I think can make me a great rules and regulations chair. I love Texas A&M. I love student government, and I want student government to be the best that it can be. And while I don't have experience sitting over here as a chair position in the last 2 sessions, I have the drive, I have the motivation, and I have the morality to be able to say that I would make a great rules and regulations chair regardless of my experience. And I think that hard work and those other traits can make up for experience. You can teach rules, you can't teach drive and motivation. And so with that, next slide please, why should you elect me for your 67th session rules and regulations chair? Just in summary, this is my 3rd session in Senate. I'm a junior, so I'll be a senior next year. I could kind of sit back in Senate this year and kind of just let it go the way it's been going, but I don't want to do that. I want to improve Senate just as much as all the new senators in here do. I want SGA to be respected on campus. I want us to have a good name and a good backing, and it makes us that much more reliable when we talk to administrators, because they're going to be so much more willing to help us when our reputation is a better nature. I'm extremely dedicated. I'm detail-oriented. I have extensive work and experience with all the SGA committees, and I can foster and build relationships inside Senate, inside my own personal committee that I would be in charge of, with the committees, the 15 external ones, executive branch, and other students. And I think that I am the best person for that job. So in closing, the last slide, sorry, thank you. This is an excerpt from the Senate bylaws And this is kind of something when I read through the code to prepare for this and just to have a good grasp on everything that's in our bylaws and our constitution and exec's bylaws. This is something that stuck out to me, and I'll read it for you. The Student Senate recognizes the importance of strong relationships with affiliate organizations whose goals are consistent with the Student Senate's. Good relationships among all three branches of student government, organizations under the SGA umbrella, and other student organizations is conducive to achievement of the Student Senate vision. And I think that this wraps up very well my intentions. The Rules and Regulations Chair is there to interpret the rules, and that is something that I want to bring forward into the 67th session. Thanks, and
all right, we'll now begin the period of question and answer, starting with Senator Sosa.
Not Speaker Sosa. Question. Have you ever attended a Rules and Regulations meeting or written a bill that affects the SGA code?
I've attended a Rules and Regulations University committee, and I haven't attended any internally, but I have a great grasp of the code. Obviously, with one read through of this SGA full code and the Robert's Rules of Order, I'm not going to fully understand every single piece of it. But like I said, I do think that my drive can make up for some of the experience I don't have, and I'm willing to work that hard to make up for that. So I haven't had any experience inside the committee inside the Senate for Rules and Reg. I've attended and been a good member of the committee that I've been in. So.
Thank you.
Okay, the chair recommends next Senator Springer.
Quick comment.
All right, Senator Mitchell.
Senator Mitchell, Off-Campus Gracie, thank you very much for that presentation. My question to you is, do you think today you have the ability and the understanding of the rules to make complex judgments on points of order and things like that that'll be brought up in the Student Senate, even when you're sworn in at the end of this meeting?
I do. Like I said, I believe myself to be an intelligent person. I know that we're all here at Texas A&M in education, and that's what we're all here for, so everyone in this room has that capacity. But like I said, I've read through Robert's Rules of Order and studied them. I read flashcards. I have read the entire SBA code. I've done a lot of work with it with other committees, just trying to figure out bills that have gone through in the last year and the background information for them. And so while I'm not going to have the answer to every single question, because I won't, and I'm not going to tell you I will, the Rules and Regulations Chair has a copy of Robert's Rules of Order when he or she sits here, and I've seen numerous times in the 66th session that the Rules and Regulations Chair goes to the Robert's Rules of Order when they're not sure. And that is what I would have to do if I don't know the answer to a question, but I would try my best to be able to fully comprehend and get a solution to that.
Thank you.
With 2 minutes remaining in question and answer, we will hear from Senator Lewis.
Howdy, Senator Lewis, Off-Campus Caucus. How are you doing, Rachel? Great. That was my question.
Point of order.
I just want to ask a couple specific questions about different procedures that have taken place, fairly commonly within the Student Senate. The first question is if you could describe the effect of a motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes, and then also what percentage vote does it take to pass an amendment to a finance bill?
So the amendment to a finance bill, let's see, so that would be 2/3 of Student Senate, and then if it gets vetoed by the student body president, that would be 3/4 to override that veto, like it is for the 2/3 passage. And then, so can I ask this question?
It was describe the effect of a motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes.
Okay, we did deal with this one at a point in the 65th session.
I've seen that 2 or 3 times.
Okay, yeah, and so the motion to reconsider. I'm sorry, I'm running up 36 hours of sleep. But so to my understanding, a motion to reconsider for a bill would be to when a bill goes through. I am confusing some of my motions right now, so I don't know the answer to your question, but I'd love to look it up and tell you later.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with 30 seconds remaining in question and answer, Senator Parks.
Senator Parks, off campus, permission preference briefly.
Yes.
You said that the code and the bylaws are extremely out of date, which I agree with, and there are a lot of gaps in there. And have you proposed any amendments to the Rules and Regulations Committee to amend the current bylaws that Fernando has emailed many times in this motion meetings?
So I actually have, and some of those written, and I have been, and so while this last bill has come through, where they've been putting all of them into the bill, I've been extremely busy with Big Event as I've been on Big Event Committee, so I haven't been able to send them to him yet. I'd love to try to do that, but I do have some written.
Okay. Stop there. Sorry. All right, are there any motions to extend the period of question and answer? All right, seeing none, Senator Boyd, do you have a characteristic? All right, exit the room.
Point of information, Madam Speaker. What time are we supposed to end this meeting?
We do not have an extension, so we are looking at 9 more minutes. So.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So. Right. Yeah.
Okay. 4 words, because I know y'all have heard a ton tonight. Gracie Wood, number 1. I've had the opportunity to work with Gracie on many accounts, specifically through the Big Event at Texas A&M. So 4 words that I would describe Gracie. Number 1 is diligent. Gracie was on the operations committee for Big Event and helped raise almost $19,000 for the Big Event. She also helped bring in almost 252 people for the Big Event. And she alone has incredible diligence and work ethic as well. So that leads me to the second characteristic is work ethic. On Big Event, we have almost 2,100 maps that we have to print and specifically match the job number to the organization every single year. And we do this with our 280-person staff, but Gracie Wood alone printed and made all 2,100 maps by herself in 48 hours. That shows work ethic. I've never seen anything like that before on the Big Event team. And Gracie Wood did that. I've never seen that before, and so incredible work ethic. Number 3 is passion. Gracie has a passion for the truth. She has a passion. You saw her vision up here earlier. She's an incredible passion to make SGA unified and to bring the committees to a new level. So I think that's incredible, and Gracie Wood definitely has that. Number 4, Gracie Wood is a learner. And many of you have come into positions. I've had the opportunity to come into some myself. And what we do every single time in those positions is we learn. We understand, we figure out what's going to entail in that position, and we try our best to strive and to understand that position to its entirety. I truly believe Gracie, with her work ethic and passion, absolutely, without a doubt, very easily, because of her intelligence, work ethic, will absolutely be able to transition to this role. By far, anything else, I truly believe experience and knowledge, those things, they can be taught. But integrity, work ethic, and passion, those can't. They're naturally learned. And Gracie has those things absolutely without a doubt. So to end up, I would quote, to finish it, I truly believe this is a great example of Gracie Wood. The final estimate of mankind shows that history cares not an iota for the rank or title a man is born, not even for the office he has held, but only for the quality of his deeds and character of his mind and heart. Gracie Wood, without a doubt, her integrity, her character, her ability to learn and understand anything will by far take the Rules and Regulations Committee to a new height. So have thanks and digging.
Yeah.
Our chair would like to remind the body that we only have 6 minutes technically left in our time here at Coldus. So if you're asking questions, please avoid the prefaces so we can get through and get to debate.
Can I say something real quick? I'm getting sort of like wide-eyed stares. Obviously, you are going to be allowed to finish the RR piece. We're not going to cut off Carrie in the middle. But you need to stay on task, and then as soon as that is done, we will wrap up the meeting. So, just so you don't think I'm going to like throw him out of the building.
Yeah.
But we do need to hustle.
They would throw me out like a speed, or just right there.
Right, Senator Cheshire, you have 2 minutes starting out.
All right, well, howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Kerry Cheshire, and I am the loudest and proudest member of the Fighting Mustang class of 2014. Hey. A little bit about myself. I'm a 6th-generation Texan and a 3rd-generation Aggie. 2 facts that I'm very, very proud of. I grew up in Mont Belvieu, Texas, which is just east of Baytown, and is known as the refining capital of the world. Yes, I said refining. I think we go to Texas A&M. I think we love oil here. I think I'm safe to say that. A little bit about my family life. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, born to a very very Roman Catholic family. It's 5 children. And I got an experience in an administrative role at a very early age, you could say. A little bit about me more is that I'm a member of the Beta Upsilon Chi fraternity. I'm one of the few Roman Catholics that we can trot out. And bucks, and I think that's both a blessing and a curse for bucks. I'm very interested in the Student Senate, as you can see. I'm really interested in politics otherwise, so to me this is a natural thing. I really like representing people, I really like achieving things, and I really like getting things done. My schooling and focus, let's see, I'm a political science major, my minor in history, and whatever the heck else I can find. You know, poli sci is kind of easy, just going to say it. If you don't say it, you're lying. About my hobbies, I enjoy board games, reading books. I enjoy Game of Thrones, both the books and the series on HBO. I enjoy craft beer, and I am occasionally known to make the trip to Northgate. So, Rules and Regulations Chair is supposed to cover the rules, right? As you can clearly see by my Cosmo and Wanda illustration, which really illustrates the gravity of this role. So really, what does the Rules and Regulations Chair do? Well, presides over the Rules and Regulations Committee. That makes sense, doesn't it? But you're also charged in interpreting the Senate bylaws, training senators on meeting procedures, aiding in vacancy procedures and development days, blah, 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 you know all of that. I'm sure all of you read the code before you came to this meeting. Great. So, the Rules and Regulations Committee. A little bit about it. It covers the rules. It covers everything from internal SGA stuff with bylaws, internal student senate stuff with bylaw revisions, acts, constitutional amendments, referenda that are going to be sent out to the student body, and really requires that you've got a firm grip on understanding the rules and a firm grip on using them in the past. So a little bit about me and my officer experience. In the 65th chair, I stepped in, basically filling a vacancy, and about three weeks later they said, somebody was retiring, I should say, but he's since come back. You can ask him about that story that Senator Austin Luce. But I was asked to take on the role of Legislative Affairs Chair, where I was privileged to have many members who are still here serve on my committee, namely Madam Speaker. Then in the next session, the one we're currently in, but not at this meeting, I served as the Finance Chair. And I oversaw tuition fees, I oversaw SGA allocations, everything like that. And I got experience as a member of Internal Affairs, both times, and as a proxy for the Speaker. So what are my Rules and Regulations experience? Why should you vote for me for this? Well, I attend all of the Rules and Regulations Committee meetings, except one, and that's because I always care about the rules. There's something that's really important to me. I subscribe to something that's called deontological ethics, which is the rules are the rules are the rules, and you always have to follow them regardless of what happens, regardless of who says what, regardless of what the scenario is. The rules are there in black and white. Follow them. You know me for making probably the most motions during the meeting, always moving for a voice vote, previous question, never reconsider. Thought about that a couple times, but haven't ever made that one. And I've authored various bills that amend the bylaws and the code. Namely, I got rid of clickers. There's a reason you don't have them today. They suck. It's a good thing they're gone. Election regulations, I was the one behind pushing forward the change that allowed you, when you group campaign, to include more people and not be penalized for it. So if you ran a group campaign, you would get an additional finance bonus. So you wouldn't have to compete with 4 people with the same budget as you would for 1. In regard to the NASRA, which is the Non-Academic Student Fee Review Act, that was something that was passed by the Finance Chair in the 65th, Senator Fernando Sosa, and we revamped it this session, and I'm very pleased with these changes. So again, what are my rules and regulations experience? I just talked about all those, so you don't have to read this slide. Convenient. One thing I haven't mentioned is my legal expertise in executive date court. 9 times out of 10, when someone's got a question, they come to me. That's usually because I hear more than Fernando. He actually studies.
5 minutes reading.
Spend more time on that sort of stuff. I don't really do that. And I've had a lot of experience with J-Court. That's good and bad. I'll come out and say it. But experience is experience is experience. So, what I want to talk about right now is integrity. And a relevant quote that I found a couple years ago when I was writing a paper on it was from Dwight D. Eisenhower. And he said, the supreme quality for leadership is unquestionably integrity. Without it, no success is possible, no matter whether it's on a section gang, which we don't really have anymore, a football field, which I have never seen turf of, in an army, which I'm not in Corps uniform, or an office, which I guess I'm running for, so it works out. And then when you go to the student website, you look at the 7 core values, under them is integrity. And a former student, who I guess wished not to be named, said, integrity is the core value that A&M gave me more than any other. It helped me succeed in my career because my fellow professionals, clients, and friends knew that they could rely on me in my work. What I'm going to tell you is my own personal belief with integrity is a consistency of belief in words and actions. And so what I'd like to do is show you how I've done that. I'd like to show you specifically the goals that I had last year as finance chair and how I fulfilled them. What were my immediate goals? Meet with the current committee and commission directors, review previous expenses and reserves, consider current budgets and all revenue, renew and ask for an act on it, and allocate funds for the committee. Did all of those. Student involvement. Students should have a larger say on fee increases. Consider the risks of increasing fees. It's nearly impossible to increase fees, so we need to be careful when we do it. And no new fees, hold the line. When the Board of Regents voted to increase the cost of tuition here at Texas A&M by about 3%, there were 3 senators, 3 student representatives that went to that meeting and advocated against it. That was myself, that was Senator Fernando Sosa, and that was Senator Austin Lewis. We drove down to Galveston to make your voice heard, to make the students' voice heard, and try and prevent an unnecessary fee increase. And we were told that we could get more if we hadn't shown up. Working with staff. Basically, I'm just going to breeze through this. You all know what this is. I was one of the people that I met regularly with staff this year. I was one of the people that held interviews to recommend the people that you had before, that the 66th had before them at the last meeting, to vote and confirm. NASFRA. It explains what it is. We reformed it in the 66th session. My long-term goals were to bring about a new transparency in fees and tuition dollars, specifically with TexasTransparency.org. What we got was a website by the system on the University Advancement Fee, where you can go see month by month the expenditures by each accounting category of what that's going to. It's approximately $113 million a year, and it's clearly delineated on their website. And starting in the fall, it's going to be sent out to parents when they pay the tuition. It's going to be sent out to you when you pay your tuition. And it's going to open up, I think, set the standard for a new level in administrative accountability. Another area was ensuring that no sequester-style cuts go into place. We didn't have any of those. The state legislature was able to find the resources necessary to fund Texas A&M. We didn't have to have any real cuts here, but I was happy to report we didn't have to worry about that. So my commitments were to keep Senate informed of open committee meetings. Did that. Make this a research committee. I ran open records requests. I ran account statements. Even did some extra stuff to get those. And I held the university accountable on spending. I worked with SVP Reed, SGA VP of Finance, while we had one, Senate, and VP of Student Affairs, the Board of Regents, to review existing fee dollars and everything like that. I've got a bill coming out of committee probably in the next month doing exactly that. So I'd say mission accomplished. So what is my vision for the future? Well, one of the problems we have with rules and regulations is that it's a committee that nobody wants to get on. Nobody wants to get bogged down and saying, oh, you can't do this, you can only do this when, and sometimes you can't do that at all. Nobody likes to hear that, but I think it could be fun. We ought to be engaging with the committee topics. Anyone who was on my Legislative Affairs Committee knows that I used to send out a fun and engaging email every time listing exactly what we're talking about. I'm not going to ask the speaker to testify on that, but please be known, I will give you copies should you desire. More openness by the committee. I want to bring people in and educate them on how things in SGA function. there's a problem when a student doesn't know how to go about making the change that he wants. Okay, I want to update the bylaws and constitution every time they're amended rather than on a semesterly basis, so it's not read. And I want better communication procedures. I respond to all of my emails within 24 hours. I have read receipts on my iPhone for my text messages. I'm probably the easiest person to get a hold of. You can read all this later. Any questions?
Okay, we went out to period of question and answer, starting with Senator Sheldon.
Would you like, or Senator Felder, would you like to elaborate on any points you did?
Absolutely, Senator Felder, I would like to elaborate on the slide I didn't even get to. That would be convenient, wouldn't it? This one, yeah. Okay, so part of what I'd like to have is a better and more involved SGA and a more involved Senate. And how does that work? That involves by communicating with bylaws and procedures, all the wonky stuff in the grass that we all have to comply with, so that everyone is more aware. When everyone's more aware, everyone can be more productive. And I firmly believe that the rules should never be used to manipulate people, to cut off debate, to impose your will over other people. I think that my position and the position of whoever comes down here, if they're fighting for it, it should be the right position. And any and all light that eliminates that position is only going to further validate their argument, is only going to further strengthen it because it's the right thing to do. I believe in absolute truth, and information relating to it supports that argument. Quicker and more productive meetings. There's a reason I got rid of clickers. There's a reason I made it to where we default on a voice vote. We can have more productive meetings in here where we spend more time serving students and less time following rules that only matter when controversial issues come up, that only matter when we get bogged down and stuck and don't know what to do. 99% of the time, we can run smoothly with minimal effort. I also want to have a leaner and simpler code. We've got needless complexity that needs to get out of there. You don't need to be a political science major to read the code. You kind of do right now. We also need to eliminate the artifacts of repealed legislation that still resides in the code. We still have stuff that refers to the Appropriations Committee when we haven't had an Appropriations Committee in 3 years. And that's something that needs to be completely wiped out. The only reason we're able to figure out kind of what that means is because we keep dinosaurs like Chris Russo around, and we're they can sit around and be like, yeah, that's what this used to be. That's also what they say about, you know, horse hitches, outhouses, everything like that. So I hope that answers your question, Senator Felder.
The next senator for recognition is Senator Young.
Senator Young, engineering. With regards to what you shared as your personal ethical philosophy, are you familiar with Roman Catholic teachings about the dangers of a legalistic conscience?
I am well aware. Thank you.
Could you please elaborate on spearheading both Free Joseph's impeachment and revoking that impeachment and the GLBT opt-out?
Sure. So there were a number of issues that came up in the impeachment, namely financial disclosures which weren't happening or impacting me doing my job, and numerous exec reports that weren't coming. So I was very concerned, and I called a number of senators, including yourself, including Senator Gracie Wood, including Senator Hannah Weger, including a number of the people here in this room. And I told them these are these issues that I'm very concerned about. And I think the SVP needs to answer for them. And I think he needs to come down here and tell Senate exactly why these aren't being articulated, exactly why the code isn't being followed, and exactly why I'm being stopped from doing my job by members of his staff not doing his. And surprise, surprise, a number of senators agreed with me. They wanted to have the hearing. They wanted the SVP to come down here and answer for his actions and inform everyone what was going on. After that happened, I ended up emailing Reed and scheduling a meeting. And I told him, Reed, I don't want to have to blow this bigger than it is. I didn't want to have to do this. I thought this was the only way to get you to the table, to get you to do the jobs that you signed up for, and to get the answers that students wanted. So that's why I did that. And what we were able to work with was a solution in which everything was followed. The code was followed. My position was right because he had to make concessions, because he had to provide more information to Student Senate. He issued his joint statement with me to the battalion, taking responsibility for what he did, taking responsibility for the failures of his administration. taking responsibility for all the problems that have afflicted SGA and have poisoned the relationship with us. I can tell you, how am I expected to do my job as finance chair and oversee the spending by these committees when I'm not receiving expense reports? When it's February and I haven't received any spending report from October, I don't think I can adequately do my job. I wasn't trying to let it read. I wasn't trying to elevate myself. I was only trying to stand up for Student Senate and for the integrity that had been questioned. And I have no regrets about doing that.
Please finish.
Motion to extend question and answer.
A motion to extend question and answer has been made.
Point of information, Madam,
Yes.
withdrawn, he stated.
I would like to encourage the body that we are over the extension, so the chair would highly recommend to not move forward with this motion, as I'm getting the nods from the advisor. But the motion was made, so unless anybody is making a motion to withdraw the motion, we'll move forward with that. So the motion to extend the period of question and answer has.
Motion to withdraw the motion.
The motion to
Point of
withdraw.
order. Point of order, Madam Speaker. That motion is out of order. The motion is the property of the body, has been asked to second, and should be voted on.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
That's what you're gonna get!
All right, let's move forward with the original main motion. The motion to extend the period of question and answer has been made. Is there a second? Sorry.
Madam Speaker, that motion was made and adequately seconded.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay. Division.
Division has been called. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer, please stand. Opposed, please stand. And that is 2/3, clearly carries. All right, with that being said, Senator Cheshire, do you have a character witness?
I do, provided you still believe it.
You have 5 minutes starting at.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Chris Russo. I'm a loud, proud member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2012. Woo! And I'm a second-year PhD student in aerospace engineering. And over the last year, I've had the pleasure of serving as the speaker of the 66th session of the Student Senate. I walked into this room for the first time in April of 2009. And I have to tell you, it feels surreal to be outside of your seats right now. But over that time, I've learned a lot of things about the Student Senate. I hope that I've made some positive changes and an impact on this body. But one of the biggest things that I think I've learned is the importance of an RR chair that knows and has more than that, more than just knowledge, because knowledge can be acquired by pretty much any competent individual, but who has an appreciation and a love for parliamentary procedure and for the governing documents of this body and for governance in general. And so I don't think there is any other senator sitting in this room, even our previous RR chair, with all due respect, that has as much of a love and appreciation for both Robert's Rules of Order and with the rules being an absolute way of things that we have to conduct ourselves to have any legitimacy as a governing body. Kerry Cheshire, as he alluded to a little bit, stepped into the Senate in the 65th session. I guess he filled a vacancy in the 64th as well. But he stepped up as a new senator when we had an officer resign and became the Legislative Affairs Chair. He did a great job during a legislative session, brought forward a lot of legislation in that area. This year he stepped up as the Finance Chair, and for the first time in a long time, and I think our previous finance chairs would attest to this, tried to conduct the process within the rules to the best of his ability. And we even ran into a problem because he started to conduct the process the way it had always been conducted, and then ran into a huge backlog because it had not been conducted correctly in the past. So he took steps to rectify that. Along all of these lines, he stepped up to stand up for the structure and the rules that govern this body. Some of you may not even have any conception or appreciation for them, but I can say as a 5th-term senator, it's it's something that holds us together. It's something that gives us legitimacy, and this position as RR chair is kind of the opposite of what you want as a speaker. A speaker is the person that you send out to all of the external portions of the body. They're the person who represents at all the president's roundtables, at all of the various university committees that have to do with tuition and fees and those sorts of things. But the RR chair is someone who is strictly focused on SGA and the structure of the rules of the Senate, the Constitution, and the acts of the Senate. Who of y'all know what the acts of the Senate are? Raise your hands. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, as with the federal code, we have a lot of things that are laws but are not in the Constitution. Those are the acts of the Senate. They just apply year to year. But I'm going to bore you with a lot of these legalistic talks. One of the things that Kerry talked about was his belief in deontological ethics as it applies to the rules and an organization. So that basically means that he will follow the rules regardless of the situation. That means that it doesn't matter what you think the rules might best look like. He would encourage you to follow the rules now and to change the rules later if you don't think that those rules are working for you. No one knows the rules better than Kerry Cheshire. No one. I don't think that anyone can look at themselves honestly and say that they know the rules of this body more than Kerry Cheshire. And Rules and Regulations Chair, look, Kerry can rub some people the wrong way. He is a devastatingly funny man, one-on-one, but he also can rub people the wrong way because he is super duper intense, and he is super, I mean, Senator Walter, he really is. He is one of the most intense individuals that I've ever met, and that's saying something because I consider myself to be pretty intense. And this is not a position where you're looking for someone you like. This is a position where you have someone that you can trust to make the right decision on Robert's Rules of Order and the right decision on the Constitution and on the rules of the Senate at a moment's notice. And so for that reason, I can't think of anyone better to fill this position than Senator Kerry Cheshire. Thank you.
All right, the chair will now open the period of debate. We will first start with recognition for Gracie.
Madam Speaker, in the interest of time, I move to limit the entire debate period to 10 minutes.
Okay. Sorry, I was having a little difficulty understanding your whole point. So, in regards anyway, it would be 2.5 to one side and 2.5 to the other. So, are you still wanting to make that motion?
I withdraw.
No more than 10. Okay. So the motion to limit debate has been made. Is there a second?
Point of order, he withdrew his motion.
Yeah, I withdrew.
Okay, so the motion has been withdrawn. So we now proceed. So Senator Young.
Howdy, Rebecca Young, College of Engineering. I'd like to start with a paraphrased quote from Chris Russo, something he told me once when I went to see him. And he told me that he cared about principles, but more importantly, cared about people. And that stuck with me because I think that's really great, and that's one of the things I admire about Chris. And so faced with the issue between someone who cares about principles and someone who cares about principles and people, I think we need to go with the latter, the hybrid, and that would be Gracie Wood. I also think we badly need a breath of fresh air on internal affairs, on committee chair row, and I like to call that area over there. And I know she can do it. She's smart, she's gonna put in the work. I really think this is a good decision for us as a new fledgling 67th session to do, because if we keep doing what Senate has always done, we're gonna keep getting the same results. We're gonna try, but I think we're gonna fall to division and infighting and posturing and not prioritize what we're here to do, which is to serve the students. That's why I think we need to go with Gracie Wood, because she's gonna work for the people and the principals. With that, I yield to Ray.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Okay, so please, first and foremost, do not confuse a great presentation with being able to do a job the absolute best. Gracie Wood is exhausted. I mean, I got a text from her at 4 o'clock in the morning last night. She's a little out of it, and so she was a little bit lagging, and she was a little bit, and she wasn't fully alert. But first of all, I want to point out that Gracie Wood is consistently the highest vote getter of any caucus for the entire student senate. With that, our constituents have spoken. They want her in here, and they want to see her face. Second of all, when we have been called into question for our integrity and for what we do, like when people constantly say, what does Senate do? All I ever hear is negative things. The redeeming person that we have is consistently Gracie Wood. She is always the one who comes up here, will fight for what the students actually want, and will basically go out there and get Senate a better name. When we are hanging by a thread, Gracie Wood is that thread. Listen to the constituents and look at what she has done. Thank you.
I yield to
Senator Bree off campus.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Okay, well, Gracie's a
Please
breath.
finish your sentence.
Gracie's a breath of fresh air. That's exactly why all of us are in the Senate. Couldn't have a better person for the job.
All right, so the chair will recognize Austin Beer.
Senator Yearwood, I think a lot of people are confusing the role of a senator with the role of a chair. The role of a senator is to fight things, that opinions. A chair is more, it's unbiased. It's someone who knows the rules beyond anyone else. And Kerry Cheshire is that person, definitely. I served with him on the finance committee this past session. Holy crap, I disagreed with him a whole lot. I wanted to, compromise with Zach on the extra $5,000 at the end, but he wanted because he stood by his principle. But he knows the rules. He, like he said, he's been to pretty much all the Rules and Regulations Committee meetings, even though he wasn't even on the committee. I went to half of them with him. He was always engaged, always making suggestions. There is, without a doubt, no better person for this role than Kerry Cheshire. He knows the rules. But more importantly, what I was starting out with, this isn't, you're not voting on Kerry Cheshire as a senator. You're not voting on Kerry Cheshire as a person. You may not like him. But you're voting on him as Kerry Cheshire as a chair. Without a doubt, he's the best person for it. And with that, I'm going to yield to Jones to the South first.
You have exactly a minute. 30 seconds.
All right, howdy. So I can honestly tell you that I disagree with Kerry on probably 95% of things. Definitely do not see eye to eye, but I can honestly say that I do not know anyone who knows the rules like the back of his hand more than Kerry Cheshire does. One of the things that was brought up was the impeachment trial with Reed. Well, he did file an impeachment Reed. He also was able to realize that he was pretty famous on campus. And he was able to reach out to Reed and find some common ground, which I think shows his ability to work with the executive department. Another thing that, well, a lot of people do not like Kerry, whether or not you believe in the one toss or not. I think everyone undoubtedly knows that he is the best man for the job in this citizen. His name's written all over.
Well, how does that? Oh, I gotta be really brief because we only have 30 seconds. But I just wanted to say, Kerry clearly knows the rules better than anybody in this room. And I would be concerned if we did not have Kerry Cheshire as our Rules and Regulations chair. I just don't know how we would get done, how we would function. With that, I yield to Austin Lewis.
Kerry Cheshire knows the rules better than anyone else. You saw him during this meeting.
Please finish your sentence.
And I motion for a previous question.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? All right, all those in favor of moving to this question, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
That clearly passes. Now we're going to
Stand about attorneys.
Here you go. Are you ready? Thanks. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you. Awesome. Oh. I believe it's involved. Middle like 1 hour, so.
All right, please come to order as we have the result. Okay, with a vote of 43 in favor, 43 to 14 with 3 abstentions, Carrie Cheshire to be ready to regulate.
I state your name.
I, Carrie Cheshire,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
the duties of the office of
the duties of the Office of Rules and Regulations Chair
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
and at all times to protect the welfare of the student body and those concerned with the university.
And to promote good relations between the students
And to promote good relations between the students
and those
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Great, everybody please have a seat. We'll be moving to our next item in the agenda because it is mandated.
Madam Speaker, I move for adjournment.
The speaker would highly recommend that.
Madam Speaker, motion has been made and probably seconded.
All right, properly seconded. All in favor of closing the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Division.
Decision has been called. All in favor of closing the meeting, please stand.
Wait, point of information.
Yes.
If we close the meeting, will we go directly into the roll call?
No, it actually was skipped that.
And everybody would get an afternoon.
Point of information, Madam Speaker, if we have roll call, if we don't have roll call, does anyone get an absence?
Technically, no.
Lot of information.
What exactly are we missing if we adjourn the meeting now?
technically, according to the Constitution, the student body president-elect is supposed to give his vision at the first meeting.
Point of order, Madam Speaker, this is not debate on the motion, that answers that.
Point of information, what time do you have to sit until?
The room has already been passed.
You guys are pushing it.
So, yes, so it's called vision, so just for all in favor, please stand. All right, that's it, all opposed. All right, well, with that passes. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for taking part.
Everybody, Laura Rod is collecting your leftover paper for recycling, so please bring it over to her. Pick up your placards and bring them up here.
Way to get started, right? Yeah, that's proud of you.
Thanks, man. No problem. There you go.